Happy to welcome my first guest this morning. It's a name that you know. It's a guy that you've heard from a number of times right here on this program. Brad White, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation. Brad, I was thinking about how we might want to start this conversation. And, we do our lottery update every morning. And I was thinking, if you had a bunch of bills and you had some debt and you won the lottery, and I'm not talking about one of the math. Let's say you won $100,000 in the lottery. As excited as you would be, and you'd be like, I want to go on vacation, and I'm going to do this and this and this with the money. And then you sit back for a second and you think, well, but I've got this that needs to be paid for, and I've got this that needs to be paid for. That's probably where these proceeds are going to have to go. I'm wondering if that's a little bit how you feel with some of the new and permanent funding that has been allocated to MDOT. There are probably lots of things you would like to do, but there are some things that have to be done that you can now do with this money that's been allocated by the legislature. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we implement the Federal Highway Administration's program here in Mississippi, and it's basically two big programs. You have a capacity construction program that builds out the system and makes our system efficient enough to handle all the traffic that's on it, hopefully without congestion. And then you've got the maintenance of the taxpayers' existing investment. But while we run both of those programs, we're graded on the maintenance. All of our federal money is dependent on us hitting certain metrics with the upkeep of the existing system. So we are very appreciative of the additional recurring revenue. It's not just the fact that they're giving us more money, but they're giving it to us, the legislature, in a manner in which we can properly budget and spend it in a way to get the biggest bang for it. And I would expect that you'll see most of that go to help us catch up on the upkeep and maintenance and rehabilitation of the existing system.
If I remember correctly, you told me that in the past, the way your office operates is with kind of a 3-year rolling plan. You're looking into the future. Maybe you're even looking beyond 3 years with some major projects. But in the more short term, it's, hey, these are the things that are immediately on the horizon, and you have to kind of figure out how to get those done in as timely a manner as possible. Does this make the recurring allocation of revenue, does it make that process a little bit easier?
Yeah, I mean, when this is fully implemented in 3 years, the Department of Transportation see around $180 million a year in extra revenue is what we have anticipated. And that'll let us go that much further with the upkeep of the system. And while we love it, and I'm certainly not complaining about a secondhand diamond, it doesn't eradicate the shortfall that we've got in our budget, to be able to do everything that we would like to do. Our needs are always going to outweigh the money, and I think it's unreasonable to expect to be able to generate the type of funds we would necessarily have to take care of all of the needs all at one time.
Yeah.
But no, this will help us get us, pardon the pun, but further down the road and repairing bridges and highways. I mean, you mentioned the lottery, that when the department began receiving proceeds from the lottery, the commission wisely chose that 100% of those proceeds are going to go to the 2-lane highways around the state that when the formula dollars go through, sometimes were being a little neglected when you had to stack up what money we had and where we could put it. So we've rehabilitated with the lottery funds, over 3,000 miles of 2-lane road around the highway. So this extra money will be much like it was when we were able to receive the lottery. It didn't fix all of the financial issues that the department might have in being able to address all of the needs, but it certainly will help us do a lot more for the taxpayer, and they'll see a difference in what we're able to do.
We've all been frustrated at times by being slowed down when road work is happening. They've got to grind up the pavement and then clean it up, and you see the big dust cloud when they're brushing it off, and then they start laying the pavement, and then maybe there's another coat, and then the striping, and it's a process. When you go through that process, and let's just, I'll pick it could be anywhere. What's the lifespan? So if you go through a resurfacing process on an existing road, what is the lifespan of that road moving forward before it has to be done again?
Once we complete it? It lasts several years through that. Every year, the Federal Highway Administration, along with our team of people around the state with our maintenance forces, travel and inspect every inch of the interstate system around the state, and then every other year we're doing the rest of the highway system. And it's from that inspection and review and data collection that the 3-year plan is then developed to pick where are the roads that have the need to be resurfaced first. Where would the money be best spent to take care of those types of needs? And there's a lot of different factors that go into that. If you're in North Mississippi and have severe ice storms and things like that in one particular year, then the roadways up there are going to deteriorate a little bit faster than had we had warmer weather. If you're on the coast and you have the hurricanes or a year like this year where we've had a lot of rain. So there's different factors that come into place. So when we issue our 3-year plan, which is our effort to try to be transparent to the legislature and the taxpayer and saying, okay, this is a snapshot in time of where we expect to put all of the money that the taxpayers have sent to us to implement our program. That truly is a snapshot in time, because by the next year of evaluation, depending on what happened weather-wise and in other dynamics around the state, those priorities may change a little bit.
Yeah. What goes into the decision of an asphalt road versus a concrete road?
Price, normally.
Okay.
Just what it would
in
cost.
In a perfect world, is concrete better and longer lasting?
I mean, I think both are very useful in what we do, but I mean, primarily, I mean, it's all about how do we take care of the most roadways as efficiently as possible and get as many miles rehabilitated as possible. So, yeah. But they're both very useful in what we do.
I got you. Visiting with Brad White, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation. I feel like I missed out last week. I think like half the people in Mississippi were all in Washington, D.C., and some of it was for different reasons. Some people were there for the same thing. You were in D.C. last week. What was your goal? What was your reason for being there?
Well, I was asked to participate on a panel with one of the National Road Builders Associations that was discussing funding of state DOTs and what Mississippi did and the dynamics that went into place with that. After the trip was scheduled, we also ended up getting an invitation to attend a meeting at the Department of Transportation with Secretary Duffy and others, all of the CEOs of the various state departments of transportation, to discuss the upcoming reauthorization of federal highway and what changes we might want to see and how we could be better equipped to handle our business. President Trump has made it clear that he doesn't want delays on all of the projects. He wants to cut through the red tape where we can and try to advance projects as quickly as possible. So we had about a 3-hour meeting there on Thursday that was spent solely in getting input from all of the different states about what we feel like you could do or they could do to help us deliver the product in a better way. An example of that would be when we build these big capacity projects, you start the pre-construction process. One of the first things that's done is developing the environmental document for that project, and then you move forward with the design and the purchase of right-of-way, moving utilities and things like that. And that sometimes can be, depending on what you run into, a very long process that can take up to 8 years. Well, if you get ready to build it and you've taken more than 3 years, you have to go back and redo the environmental document, which can open up a whole host of other problems and delay projects. So, for example, we were discussing with them moving that from 3 to 5 years. Things like on the federal grants that go out to those of us that handle formulaic dollars from the feds, doing away with some of the agreements that have to be worked out that are just extra red tape and bureaucracy on top of something, and allowing us to take any federal money that we receive in the way of a grant and running it through our program the same way we do all of the other federal money that we get, whether it's earmark or part of our program. And so I thought it was one of the most successful meetings that I've ever been a part of since my time in government, because we were talking about common sense, real solutions to make the process work easier and allow us to deliver our mission and our product to the taxpayers quicker. And I feel very confident that the Trump administration, led by Secretary Duffy in this area, will do a good job in trying to help accomplish those things.
There is always an interest in knowing what road projects are coming, because everybody, regardless of the county that you live in, any of the 82 in Mississippi, there's probably a road that you would like to see fixed. We'll get an update on where some of those projects are and what is on the horizon and more. Brad White, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation, is my guest. Glad to be with you on this Thursday morning. It's Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday morning, the 24th of July. Richard Cross. This is Mornings with Richard Cross. Brad White is my guest, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation. When MDOT is contracting with construction companies, how do you decide? I mean, is it as simple as cost with who is chosen to do the work on roads in Mississippi?
Lowest bid.
Lowest bid.
By federal edict, yeah.
So it's not lowest and best, it's simply lowest
bid. Like I said, we implement a federal program, so the Federal Highway Administration has final say over when and if we can award a contract. And so we have the specifications put together, we advertise it, contractors around the state will put in their bids, we'll have an opening of the bids. They'll be prepared and presented to the commission with a recommendation to either award it or to re-advertise or reject. And normally it's always the lowest bid. If all the bids come in over 10% of what the department's estimate is for that job, Federal Highway Administration, unless there's some clear reasons for that are justifiable, they will force you to re-advertise and redo it. So it's a very much done based on whatever the estimate is and who's the closest person to the estimate or the lowest bid. We do have them sometimes that come in lower than the estimate, but that's the process.
Brad, we've got this ongoing conversation about the need for more skilled trade workers, right? Whether it's plumbers or electricians or HVAC professionals or construction workers, and so many of our community colleges are working hard to try and help that workforce issue. Is that a similar issue in terms of road crews? Is it general construction companies or is it specialized road construction companies that are bidding on these projects?
It depends on the project. I mean, you have paving companies that's their main deal that they do that go in on the rehabilitation. You have companies that specialize in bridge building. You have companies that do a little bit of it all. So I mean it's kind of across the board. But when you're talking about developing the skills for workers, you take the Department of Transportation. When I worked at MDOT the first tour, back in the late 90s and early 2000s, we had a staff of around 3,300 people. And that was engineers and maintenance forces that allowed for the department to do some work on its own, whether that be in the pre-construction of these big capacity projects or whether that be some of the routine maintenance around the state. And we went several years without any type of salary adjustments, and we lost a lot of employees, both from the professional staff and as well as from our first responders. Are the ones that are out on the roadways when the weather's at the worst. MDOT's at its best, and they're out trying to keep the roadways open for the other first responders that are trying to get fire and police and ambulance service out to the people. So one of the first things that we started working on 4 years ago was trying to take care of those salaries, and the Mississippi Personnel Board and the legislature have been great to work with us, and we've stopped the bleeding of staff and are starting to build back and try to recruit in a more skilled workforce within the department that would allow us to do some of the work we feel at a better cost for the taxpayer. Not the big jobs, but I mean the routine maintenance and the design work, some of the things behind the scenes, like that.
Is it more cost effective to have your own crew and have it as an in-house project versus contracting out every single project you do?
I mean, well, there's no way that we would be able to implement our program without the assistance of the partners in the private sector. There's just absolutely no way to do that. We could do with our own people as some of the in 1987, for example, when the 4-lane program was passed, a lot of the pre-construction work that was done then was done in-house at MDOT. When we started losing engineers in our roadway design division or our bridge division and right-of-way, things like that, it did make the agency a lot more dependent than what we should be on the private sector to help deliver those projects to the people. And certainly in the realm of our maintenance forces, when I worked at MDOT the first time, every county had a crew of people that were there to help from anything from the mowing of the grass to the fixing of the potholes or guardrails. And if storms came through, whether it be tornadoes or hurricanes or ice storms, they're the ones that are out there making sure everything's open and safe. And over the years, we lost a lot of that to where you've got the same size crew that's now, instead of working within one county, might be covering more than one county, which affects our timeline on being able to do the job that the taxpayers expect us to do. So it's been one of the bigger positives that we've had is be able to take care of our employees and build back the agency in a way that allows us to take care of the type of work that we can do in-house at a savings to the taxpayer.
I'm just using a loose percentage here. I'm going to say 75 to 90% of the drivers in Mississippi at some point have exhaled a sigh of relief. You're going to laugh when I get to my point here. You're driving along, you see a car that is either in the median or on the side of the road, and it looks like a police car or it looks like a highway patrol car. And as you get a little closer, you realize, no, it's actually a silver car. That's an MDOT car that's on the side of the road, and you're thankful that maybe you didn't get to visit with one of our state's finest on the highways and byways. What are those MDOT cars doing?
Well, if it looks like a police car, that's no longer MDOT. July 1 of 21, the legislature moved, when they moved Capitol Police out from under the Department of Finance and Administration and put it with Public Safety. They also moved the weight enforcement officers, which were a part of the Department of Transportation, over to the Department of Public Safety. And now I forget what they're called now, commercial. Anyhow, those vehicles are actually part of the Department of Public Safety. They're just another division next to the Highway Patrol and MBI and all the other divisions within the Department of Public Safety. So they're not MDOT people anymore.
Okay, that's good. Maybe that's like a blast from the past that's like just seared in my mind.
Yeah.
It's like, there have been times where I'm like, whew, I am glad that is an MDOT vehicle and not a highway patrolman. We get some questions about specific projects. Let's just start with you kind of laying out, where are you active right now and what is immediately on the horizon in terms of construction projects? We're talking about resurfacing, doing maintenance work. What's going on right now?
Well, when you get into our paving program that we have, which is rehabilitation of the system, we're all over the state. We're not in as many places as we'd like to be, but we're where the money will allow us to go. So all 82 counties in some fashion has a project going on in them, and will continue as we continue to tick away at those needs. As far as the capacity construction program, we've got we're getting ready to try to get Highway 7 in Oxford in Lafayette County ready to award. We're looking at a portion of I-55 in DeSoto County. We've got a lot of Highway 15 and Union County and Tippah County and that are under construction. We're working to bring a section of that in Pontotoc County to construction for widening it. You've got Highway 19 over in Neshoba County. We've got sections of the interstate through central Mississippi. By the end of this year, we'll have I-55 in Madison, Gluckstadt area ready to be built, assuming that funding can be identified. Same with the further widening of Highway 25 in Rankin County. Along the Gulf Coast, you've got a bunch of I-10 that's under work, restructuring of interchanges, widening the interstate. You've got Highway 49 in Harrison County, Highway 57 in Jackson County. We have,
this goes on.
Over $1 billion, certainly, maybe even closer to $2 billion that'll be under construction, hopefully within the next year or so, and that's not counting the bigger projects that we have in the pipeline, like some interstate projects there in Forest and Lamar County and other Warren County, other areas around the state. So we've got about 97% of our $1.5 billion budget goes in some form or fashion is connected to a project. And so when you were mentioning the 3-year plan, our main goal of the 3-year plan is to be able to show the legislature, where the money is going, where we're trying to spend it. So they're able to look at each county and know exactly what projects are alive there, what projects are coming, whether that be in the paving program, whether that be in our bridge program, our operational improvements, multimodal, or whether that be in these bigger capacity construction projects. So, I've always felt like when we're asking for funds to take care of all these needs, the best way, Senator Cochran used to say, the best way to get what you want is to deserve what you want. So we're trying to operate in a way that gives the legislature a level of confidence that will allow them to continue investing in what I consider to be the core function of government.
The first project you mentioned was Highway 7 South in Oxford. That's one that feels like it has been the idea of expansion there has been in place for a really, really long time. You said, I think, getting ready to award. What does that actually mean in terms of time frame?
We'll be advertising it and have to take bids on it, and hopefully by the end of this year.
Okay.
And then there'll be a notice to proceed that comes out a couple of months after that, and the construction will start, and then hopefully within a couple of years we'll have a improved highway.
And so, realistically, a year from now before actual construction gets rolling?
No, I mean, I think if we're on schedule, and I forget if that's like a September, October letting, but if we can get it out by the end of this year, advertise and accept a bid on it, you'll see a work start on it shortly after the first of the year.
Brad White, Executive Director of the Mississippi Department of Transportation. Always appreciate your time. Good visiting with you this morning.
Thank you.
We're going to take a time out. We'll come back and wrap up the 7 o'clock hour next. Brad White was my guest. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.